All right, everybody, this is Seth Keeping It Real. Welcome to the Advanced Mastermind Roundtable. We have these every Friday, 10 o'clock in the morning Central. I know for some of you guys it's really early, for some of you guys it's really late, but thank you for being here. Today we have a very special guest. Her name, I'm going to say it in correct Chinese tones, Lina. That is how you say her name, if you want to say it correctly, but Lina, if your Chinese isn't up to par. And she has been sourcing for years. She's actually an expert on what's called the Fujian marketplace in Yiwu. The reason I wanted to bring her in is for a couple reasons. One, I want you to meet one of our full-time staff members. She is full-time salary with just one dime. She used to be part-time for us, then she became full-time. I'm very proud to say I stole her from a sourcing company when I went to China with Josiah last October. And you know, the funny thing, guys, is I didn't even have a specific position for her. I just knew she was such an incredible person that I knew we need her on our team. With her ability to source, with her excellent English, as you guys are going to quickly find out, most suppliers you talk to, their English is not as good as Lina's. Lina's is much better. And I also knew I needed a Chinese teacher to teach me Chinese. So if you guys want to see really quick, and Lina knows about this, this sits at my desk. This is my Chinese homework that I'm working on every day and every night. And we meet almost twice a day just to work on that. But the cool part is questions you have about sourcing, Lina is here to help you. She has been trained for this not only professionally, but she's done it for a living, worked full-time for a company for years. And when we go to China in October, and some of you guys are going, she will be there. In fact, she's going to take a train to Shanghai to spend the day with us there. And then she'll go back to Yiwu where she lives, and she will be one of the sourcing agents. And if you're lucky, she will be your personal sourcing agent when we walk the streets. We're going to have over 50 sourcing agents there. She's one of the best. So Lina, thank you so much for being here. And would you like to introduce yourself or just tell us a little bit about you?
Okay. Thank you, boss. Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Lina, and I am working for THAS right now for full-time. Actually, I was working in a sourcing company before March of this year. Now I'm working for THAS, and I'm working in Yiwu for 3 years already. And I am the expert for Yiwu market, I mean for Fujian market, because I am the map for the market. I spent almost 1 month in the beginning when I come to Yiwu for working, and I spent 1 month just walking around in the market. The market is so big, so I have to spend a lot of time to get the information for every places in the district, in the market. So now I am the map of the market, and I am more focused on the products in the Fujian market. So anything you want to know about Yiwu or about the Fujian market or about the sourcing trip to China, please feel free to ask me. And actually, I am not so good for English. And thank you, boss, I know. And I am a little nervous now, so okay, that's it.
We expect perfect grammar this entire
Get out of here, yeah. No, your English is phenomenal, yes. Absolutely good English, so don't worry about that.
Okay, thank you.
So questions, guys. We have people here in the chat. Hello, Gina, good to see you. And then we have people here on video. Questions about sourcing, questions about Yiwu, questions about OEM, private labeling, when sourcing, working with Chinese suppliers. What's it like? What are some of the challenges? One thing I really respect about Lina is from the very first day I met her, I said, just tell me exactly what it is. You don't have to say yes to everything. Because in Chinese culture, there's a tendency to do that. If something's not good, I want you to tell me. She was very honest with me, told me all the good and all the bad. And that's why I know I wanted her on my team. So ask away, guys. The mic is yours.
I have, if you wouldn't mind, I have a few. Right now, I'm in the stages where I've created all of the different iterations, variations, and like potential places where my product could go. And I have it down to the, pretty much a science, but I need to create a tech pack, like a spec sheet of sorts, for fabric, for soft goods, so that I could kind of convert that to manufacturers and have this sensation that there's going to be less back and forth and less confusion, or, maybe potential mistakes along the line. And so in doing that, I've been like trying to track down designers who specialize in prototyping and building spec sheets, you know, for that reason. And there's a few of them. They're scattered all over the country, but it's been like a real challenge to me to find anyone near me or even just in LA. And I know LA is a big place for that kind of thing. But I think it has to do with maybe a keyword thing, you know, like looking over the internet, and like it's very difficult to find that place. So like I said, I found them elsewhere. It's kind of like a hang up for me. And I would like to know if there's any kind of best method to getting this done formally and moving on to the next step. I don't know if that's in your wheelhouse or if that's little, yeah.
Boss, I need you, please.
Sure. So, and Lucas, I'm sorry to make you repeat part of it. I was chatting over here. We have another person here as a coach, and it's hilarious in the chat room.
That's okay. Yeah. That's
I was
okay.
only like halfway, to be totally honest. So you were talking about getting retail packaging or the actual product and finding a supplier.
Yeah. So the product I'm making, I'm trying to design a tech pack, like a spec sheet for, you know, manufacturing, so that it's like really articulate. I wanted to speak to like a designer who's also a prototyper, who prototypes for the sense of like moving to manufacturing. And there's a few people that I spoke to that are capable of doing this, but they're in, you know, different states.
Right.
And I'm looking for someone close to me that I could do it with. And I've been unsuccessful in my search to find anyone nearby, and everyone wants to, you know, Skype and stuff. And I want to be like physically able to like go over, lay things out, say, this is what I was thinking. Like, what do you recommend for manufacturability, for, you know, efficiency, for costs? Like, what should I present them with, and which way, and what papers, you know, like informal information should I hand the manufacturer? That is kind of like the only thing holding me up right now. And I wonder if that's something that you have experience in.
Gotcha. So you're talking about finding
like figuring out that next step.
Someone who can create a tech spec sheet and then build a prototype based on what you're looking for. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha. So the fastest way to do that is to find what's called a technical designer. Have you gone to Upwork or Fiverr or any other online places and just search technical designer or product engineer or anything like that to find that? Like I'll give you an example. For one of the products that we started that was new, that's where we found the first person to design it and create the tech specs for it. So literally with something we take, we can hand it over to the factory and the factory could build it exactly as we needed. So I would start with a technical designer, or in there's a term, it's engineer something. It's a I forget the term, but it's a kind of engineer, and that's what they specialize in. So if the product is more mechanical, then you would get a mechanical engineer. If it's, you know, a different kind of engineering, you get that kind of engineer. That's where I would start, if that helps.
Thank you, Seth. That does help, because technical designer on Upwork is somewhere that I haven't gone yet. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You bet. Questions?
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to know, I started with a product last year, previous to join just one time. And I didn't know how to negotiate with my supplier. So they gave me the price and I said, okay, that's good. Okay, I want some. Now I'm in a point where I want to reorder, but I don't know if it will be okay to tell them, can you give me a better price? How do I handle that? Because I already have the trust. I like the supplier. I like the quality. I haven't had the issues or returns for that product. So it's a pretty good supplier, but I think I'm paying too much right now for the goods. How can I negotiate that without being rude or something like that?
You understand the question, Lina?
Yeah, and if I can ask, do that supplier know you very well?
No, that way. I'm what?
The supplier. I mean, do they know about you, about your order and your products, and have you communicated before?
Yes, I work with them since last year. But in my first order, I didn't negotiate with them. I just say that's a good price. Okay, I'm buying. Now I know that you can negotiate, but is it correct to negotiate with them now for new orders?
Yes, exactly. Actually, I am thinking you are worried too much. Don't be afraid for that. And doing business in China is not that how do I say? It's not that too complicated. You can communicate with the supplier, with the one you've been contacting, with the people you've been contact from since last year, and you can just talk with him or her about negotiating about the price, because if that's the reorder, actually that is much easier than first time, because you reorder the product, and as you've been working for a long time, it is the best time right now to negotiate about the price.
Okay. Okay.
And maybe just in case, maybe they will ask you to buy buy more quantity than last time. It's just I'm not so sure, but maybe they will ask for that, and that is your option. You can decide by yourself.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. I have another question. Right now, I'm working on a new product with new suppliers, and I'm asking the price for 3,000 units and 1,500. They gave me some prices, and again, I don't know. So I think they are good prices, but I'm not sure if I can tell them, can you lower that price, even though I think that that's a good price right now. Should I negotiate with them?
You didn't tell them their price is good for you, right?
No, I didn't. No.
No, don't be afraid. Just negotiate about it.
Okay. Okay.
You're concerned too much, I can tell.
Yeah, that is difficult for me, because when someone puts a price on something, I think, okay, that's the price. That should be fair for them. And so it's difficult for me to tell, no, I want a lower price, or I don't know.
So here's my personal tip. Okay. Every time when the supplier quotes you a new price, even though that price is good for you, good for yourself, and don't tell anything with the supplier. Just negotiate about it. Maybe sometimes they will give you a better price. Okay, I feel guilty about Chinese business now. Okay, don't concern too much. Business is business. You can just communicate with them.
Okay, great. Thank you. This look like beginner questions, but
no, it's fine. And Lucas, I don't know if you can hear me, but Mitra says, she asked, what kind of spec sheet are you looking for, mechanical or electrical? And she also mentioned product development is something else you can search. And also, there's a couple people in our group who build prototypes.
Broke up, I can't hear.
Have the knowledge to be able to build it out if they can do prototypes. Like, they actually literally have a team. So that's another idea. You don't have to give away your product idea, but just post it in the group. But I would also search those as well. And is it mechanical or electrical that you're looking for?
Oh, it's soft goods.
Gotcha. Yeah. So if you do product development, soft goods, try that as well.
Yeah, product development, soft goods. Cool.
We have another question.
Thank you so much.
Lina. Yeah, no problem. We have another question.
Yeah.
Nancy says, I was not happy with my first supplier. The quality was good, but the price changed at the end, so I'm starting over. And I'm assuming she means the price went up. When they offer a price...
I'm sorry, that's the internet. I can't hear you.
Yeah, can you mute your mic? Appreciate it, brother. Thanks, man. I'll read it. Nancy says, I was not happy with my first supplier. The quality was good, but the price changed at the end. I'm starting over. When they offer a price, how much percentage is polite to offer below their offer? So for example, if they say, you know, it's $1 per unit, 1 USD, or whatever RMB that is, you know, how much more low should we ask? When is it asking too far? How do you know?
Actually, for these questions, I can't give you the answer because this is really like the business secret. And even though we are doing business in Yiwu for a few years, but we never know their own price from the factory. We will never know about that. And if you want to know about the percent, like how many percent they will rise the price, this question I can't answer you. So, and another thing is the price. According to my experience, the price is really depend on the products. For example, if this one just $1, and this one maybe $10 or $20 or even $50, and of course the expensive product and the profit is much more than the lower price. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. So here's, and that's very helpful. Here's another idea that has helped us, Nancy, and I don't know if you've run into this or not, Lina, but looking at what other people are offering gives you sort of a price range. Like compare it to others, and that gives you sort of an idea. If someone's offering it for $1.10 and yours is $1 and someone else is 90 cents, well, maybe you would ask for 85 cents. It just kind of gives you a range, because as a general rule of thumb, they're going to be all around the same price unless there's a huge quality shift.
Actually,
go ahead.
Yeah, that's according to our experience when I'm working with the suppliers. Just for example, like this cup. Just for example, and you may can find maybe 5 suppliers selling for the same products in the EU market, and I can see so 3 suppliers, they will sell the same price, and maybe there'll be another supplier maybe sell like 10 cents less, and sometimes there will be another sell 10 cents more. But the thing is, if they're selling for same products in the market, that is not there will be not a very big difference for the products, the price, and if there's a big difference, that is only depend on the quantity or the quality, or maybe they'll have a lower quality and maybe sell like $10, and maybe they will have a good quality sell $50, like that.
Got it. That's very helpful. That makes sense for you? Yeah, absolutely. And here's a question I'm going to add to that, and it's similar to Nancy's question, or she might have meant this as a question. What do you do when you purchase your first batch from a supplier, and let's say they quoted you at $1.50 per unit, per piece, and after the first batch, the price goes up to like $1.60. Now, to a lot of people, they think, oh, are they cheating me? They got a lower price to get me in, and now they're raising the price. Have you run into that? What are your thoughts on that? Is that a strategy?
Actually, the price is really changed fast. And for last year, when you were in China, when we were talking about this, do you remember I told you about the environment checking? Yeah. And because of that, there are so many factories closed by the government because they cannot reach the standard for the environment. And in that case, there are so many products rise a lot. And for, I remember for paper products, in that month, it was like 60% higher than before.
Right.
And actually, to be honest, the price in China is keep going up every month, or maybe even every week.
Yeah.
And because our labor fee is now so low right now, and the labor fee is going up, and the material it costs much more than before. So the price always change. Actually, this is also a trouble for us. I mean, for Chinese.
Yeah.
But it happened. It always happened.
And the government did some kind of control. I forget if it was you or the other team who told me this, where they try to limit how much the cost of things can go up. They're trying to hold down the inflation, or something to do with the economy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Another question is, Amanda, I want to source an electronic product with digital features. How can I ensure that I'm sourcing quality components due to the complicated nature of the product? So in other words, if I buy an electronic product and it has digital features on it, how can I make sure, because it's a complicated product, how can I make sure the quality is good for a complicated product? What would you recommend there? And I have an idea on this as well, Amanda, but I'll give it to Lina first.
For the electronic things, the first thing in my mind, I will go to sourcing in Shenzhen, I mean in Guangzhou province and the Shenzhen city, because everybody knows the electronic products is, Shenzhen is famous for the electronic products. I remember we talked about this before, right?
Yep, with the provinces.
Yeah. And the factories in Shenzhen, the technique and the quality for the electronic products is much better than other places. The quality about the products. And another thing is to check for the quality, you have to check the sample from the factory, from the original factory. And actually, for electronic things, that's very complicated, because we were talking about this before. For electronic things, for accessories, if they are using for like very low quality accessories, then the final product's price will be lower. And if they use good quality for accessories, then the final product, the price will be much higher, and that makes the quality is different.
Right. So
and our Chinese way, the quality is depend on the client's requirement. If they want like good quality, and of course the price will be higher. And if they just want the lower price, then the quality will be lower. It's like that.
Yeah. And I want to add to that, not only finding out where it's coming from, guys, we have a whole list of provinces where the most common items, where they're produced. So for example, Guangzhou has their own specialties, Shenzhen has theirs. And when you get it from that province, the quality is most likely higher than one where it's not the most common for them to be producing that. Another idea, Amanda, is when you get not your first sample, like a sample of their products, but the production sample. So when they start, before you pay the remaining 70%, get a production sample. Either have someone like in our team inspect it for you, or have them ship it to you so you can look at it and test it before you finish paying for all of the production, because that's the only ultimate way you can test quality, is by using it. I mean, there's really no other way that you're going to be able to know the quality until you actually test it and see it and try it out. Okay, great questions, you guys, and thank you, Lina.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Do you have the list? I mean, can we have the list of the province with the? Thank you.
Absolutely.
And another thing, that means that when we go to Alibaba, we can filter the city there. So we could use that as a guide to filter the factories we are looking for on Alibaba, or it is just through a direct sourcing agent there that we will find the good factories?
I'll share something, and Lina, if you want to add anything to this, feel free to. So you can do that, and that helps, Gina, but keep in mind that sometimes one company will have multiple listings or multiple companies on Alibaba. And if you filter it by Shenzhen, that doesn't mean that's where the factory is. That could be a trading company, or that could be, you know, they're posing as a trading company and they're a factory. And the trading part is when it's a product that their factory doesn't produce, but when they do produce it, it's a mix. So that's the thing. It's not simple as here's a factory or here's a trading company. A lot of times it's a mix. Even in Yiwu, you see this where maybe, you know, one of these products they make themselves over in another province, and this is the shop representing it. But another product you get from them, they go to another factory to get that part done, like maybe the label or the accessory item. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That's why I recommend getting someone who knows the provinces. Get someone And guys, keep in mind, we are providing a sourcing opportunity for you through Lina specifically, and this is only for this group. This is not for the other group. Don't even tell them about it because they'll get jealous. But literally, Lina provides a very one-to-one personal sourcing assistance to people, so she can find out, okay, is this a factory or where's the location? She speaks Chinese, she lives in China, so it gives you a very much a competitive edge on that. And this is something we'll provide for you guys. We'll announce more details later on. But does that help, Gina and Lina? Is there anything you would add to that? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Actually, sourcing from Alibaba, they will provide all the information. I mean, the location for the factory or location for the trading company. And the thing is, you don't know Chinese. That's the problem.
Right.
Okay, so next question is, Amanda says, I'm concerned that even if I get samples to test and inspect, I want to be sure that the units will not break down 3 or 6 months later, so quality is the key. So it's a great question, Amanda, and I don't know if I have a really good answer for you other than you have to test it out. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, Lina, but if I source it,
I have an answer.
how do I know 3 months from now it's still going to work unless I look at their history in Alibaba? Yeah, go for it, man.
I just learned something recently about a technique of, if you want to vet samples from suppliers, if you can be so lucky as to find their listings on Amazon. And I'm not sure always the best way to do that and how you can be sure, but I know that there is ways that you can. That's to be discovered. But anyways, if you can find out what their products are, like through supply chain, they've existed and they're selling, and you buy like 2 or 3 of those, well, then you can obviously tell like what kind of things are making it to market.
And look at the reviews as well. That's really smart. There's 3 different places I know you can go where you can go and find out based on the import, where you can find who the company is. And I can share those links with you guys after this meeting. That's awesome, Lucas. Thank you, man. That's perfect. So there you go, Amanda. Okay, PJ says, Lina, I think you mean Lina, right? When I first negotiated a price with a supplier, the cost was less than $1 for 500 MOQ and the shipping was good. Then I made slight changes and the price tripled and the shipping went up 4 times. Lina, what are your thoughts on that? So first she ordered 500 and it was $1 for 500, less than $1. Then she made a few changes and the price is 3 times more and the shipping went up 4 times. What are your thoughts?
I want to know about the changes.
Yeah, so to be specific on the changes, PJ. No problem, PJ. I see you changed it to Lina. So tell us what were those changes, and then we'll come back to that question in a minute, Lina. While we're waiting for her to type that, I am going to continue on. Okay, let's see. Okay, PJ says, I'm not understanding why a supplier would greatly increase the price after the first negotiated price. So I order 500 of these, I get them, and I come back for my next order and the price goes up. Any thoughts on that?
Okay, if I'm thinking it's all about the changes. For example, the cup again.
Yes.
If the first time I order just like this, maybe they have stock from the factory, from the supplier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If they have stock, or sometimes they will do promotion for the stock.
So lower price, temporary.
Yeah, lower price, and it happened a lot in Yiwu market, especially in the last month of the year. And they want to sell all of the stock, so they will do promotion. And the other thing is, just for example, if I want to change the logo in here, I want to change to my own logo. I don't want to use this one. But the thing is, if you want to change logo, maybe they will ask MOQ for maybe like 5,000 pieces, right? But the problem is I can't accept 5,000 for this cup. That's only 1 cup and I have to buy 5,000. That's very big quantity. So I want to lower the quantity, but I still want my own logo on it. So in this case, the supplier, they have to, how do I say it? They have to produce the. I can't hear you. What you're talking.
Go ahead.
I can't. There's no ways. Okay, and they can, maybe sometimes they can accept to a lower quantity, but the thing is they have to raise the price because they don't want to lose their own money to OEM the logo or to produce the cup. Something like this, and maybe they won't tell you about, oh, if you cannot accept 5,000, I can give you like 500, but I have to double the price. That happened a lot when I'm working with the sourcing company with other clients before.
Yeah, I was thinking about fabric.
So the thing is, I want to know what the changes.
Yeah, let us know what those changes were, PJ. That would really help. And another thought on this, you guys, let's just say you're working with fabric. So for this shirt to be made, they have to buy these huge sheets of lines, yards of thread. And if you say, oh, I want a different color, I want green, and they don't have green, they have to go buy a different one, and it's going to be very large. But if your quantity is small, they have to pay a lot more for the threads that they purchase for this color, or if it's a different material, if they buy a smaller amount, it costs them more. So when you want a different color and they don't have that, the price is going to go up a lot. The other thought is if there are significant changes in the product, they have to pay for training people sometimes to how to build the product. That also costs time and money for a factory. Now they have to train the people for a change that you want on your product. Or if you want a significant change and it requires a mold can cost anywhere from $2,000 to over $10,000 to make the new kind of product. I need a new shape, I need a new mold for this to work. So keep in mind when you make changes, prices on the back end go up like crazy. And if the quantity is low, they're really gonna go up a lot. So that should help you guys. And then the next question is, Maria says, what is the best way to find a component or a part for our product if our supplier cannot provide it? So for example, Lina, they provided this component, this part, in one size. We need it in a different size for the next order, but they don't have that different size. So what do we do?
Okay. So the first solution is we need to OEM. I mean, we need to open a new model for the sizes. And actually, for that case, we are normally go for other suppliers. We want to looking for some other, they have the size as I need the, because OEM that costs a lot and OEM that they will require a very big quantity.
Right. Very good.
I have a question. So I know that you didn't have a real consistent kind of overarching idea of the percentage of inflation that they're asking when they ask for, when they list their price. I wonder if there's any sort of like observed kind of norm that you're seeing as far as like their local pricing, maybe on what they're asking of, local Chinese B2B, or what they're asking for overseas, European even, or I mean, I know they're not technically overseas, but Americans, Australians, for the Westerners, so there's an inflation there. And I'm wondering if there's like, that there's like a kind of consistent, like, is it twice as much? Is it 20%? Is it, I don't know. What are you noticing in that? How much more are they asking?
To be honest, that's a very good question. And, the first questions when you working in the Yiwu market, the supplier, they will ask, sometimes they will ask, where are you from? And where is your market? And actually, just for example, for Western country, the price is higher. And for Middle East or to Africa, the price is lower. And because from American customers, they can accept for the good quality, expensive prices. But to Africa, they only want lower price. That's all they want.
So the price scale isn't just sliding based on maybe economies, but it's also sliding exactly relative to quality. So like, for instance, if I were to feel this sensation like, well, hey, Africa's getting it so much cheaper, or China's getting it so much cheaper, I feel like I should get it cheaper. Yeah, they could accommodate that, but it's not like they're inflating it based on only economy. They're inflating it based on quality, exactly relative to. That's good to know, because, you know, I think a lot of us have this feeling like we want a fair price. We want the same price as them, but that really does attach it to the quality, huh? Yeah, thank you.
The other thing is the suppliers, they will give you some suggestions for their products. They have their own factory, so they know very well about their own products. And they know if the Western people, they are more focused on good quality. So they will not give you like rubbish. That's, yeah. Now I'm really feel guilty for our Chinese businessman now.
All I ask, remember, this isn't China versus America. This is, in this room, there are many countries being represented. Even as you saw yesterday, you met the team. One guy's from Cuba, one guy's from Italy, one lady's from Peru, another lady's from Australia, someone else is
Colombia
from
here.
I mean, it's crazy. Where, Gina?
Colombia.
Colombia. So like it's really what we're talking about right now. Imagine, you know, 89 countries representatives came all together to help work together. That's all this is. You know what I mean? This isn't China versus all these Amazon sellers. This is a bunch of countries learning to work together to build business. That's the perspective. So thank you for your honesty. And everyone in this room is mature enough to know it's not about that. This is about helping each other succeed. So, and really, really good questions, Lucas. One thought, guys, I just want to add. This is so important, and I learned this the hard way. When you first order your product, it is so vital that if you're looking for high quality, but you tell them, give me the best price, and you just send them a photo, sometimes they'll send you complete, not to be disrespectful, but complete junk. Very, very low quality, because you asked for the best price and all you sent them is a photo. They don't know what thickness it is, what material it is, what the specs are. If you send the specs and the material and tell them exactly what you want, now they understand, okay, they are looking for quality, best price within the range of that quality, which means obviously it's not going to be dirt cheap price. That's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is with some trading companies, not all, they will give you the cheapest product to get the sale, because they probably think they'll never hear from you again, and it's sitting there. They can sell it and they just want to get you the cheapest price. So unless you tell them exactly what you want, they will give you a great price, but when you get the product, you're not happy with it. And if you do trade assurance through Alibaba, then you haven't specified all exactly what you want, then there's no backing for you. If it turns out the product was not what you wanted, there's nothing you can do. But if you were very clear with the specifications, Alibaba is very good about backing you up on that, because you clearly said, I want this Pantone color, I want this material, it needs to be this thickness. So be specific when you're ordering your product. It protects you on quality, on price, and if something goes wrong. Okay, next question or comment. Amanda says, that is gold. Thank you, Lucas. Mitra says, is there any way to find the electronic supplier that does the kind of fundamental changes on their product? I talked to many of them, but the custom change they agree with is very minor. So if I understand the question correctly, Mitra, you're asking to find the supplier that builds electronics that does fundamental changes on the product. I don't know if I totally understand the question. Can you expound a little more, Mitra? I'm having trouble understanding exactly what are you asking for a supplier who can make changes? And to answer that question, if they can't, find a different supplier, or you might have to have one that builds you a whole new component, and that costs a lot more up front.
I think I understand the question.
Go ahead, Gina.
She's asking, she has been working with some suppliers and asking for a big modification in one product, but the modifications that they do are just minor. How can you ask for a big modification, or do you need to find a new supplier, or what to do there?
Gotcha. And then thank you very much, Gina. So Mitra, she interpreted it very well for me. I feel bad I didn't understand. So Here's the answer based on what we've been talking about. You have two options. One, you pay more for them to make the modification, or two, you go to another supplier who already has it built into their system to make that modification for you. Would you agree with that, Lina, or is there anything you would add to that?
I totally agree.
Okay, all right. Nancy says, how soon can we start having Lina source for us? Very soon. I can't give you specific date. I've been taught by my business partner not to give promises that are specific unless we absolutely know we can be there by that time, because things always take longer than you expect. I have an awesome business partner. So yes, very soon, and that's the most I can say, Nancy, very soon. Mitra says, I need a different software for their product. So in short, an electronic factory that has engineers to make changes. Yeah, so you may end up having to go with a completely different factory, Mitra, if they can't do it. Okay, PJ says, changes. Here are the changes she made, Lina, that she was asking about the question before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the negotiation stage. I have not ordered any product yet. I wanted 3 scents or 3 different smells or aromas in one package, not just 1 scent. In other words, the smell, the aroma, that kind of scent, because I know you can't see what I'm reading here. So it's not their standard packaging. So her question is, should the price go up 3 times if I'm asking for 3 different smells, different scents for this product? What are your thoughts?
The thing is, do they have 3 smells for that, or they have to make the, I mean, for totally a new product?
Good question. So PJ, do they need to make a completely new product, or do they have that in-house? And I know the answer is going to be, if it's in-house, the cost is less. If they have to go outside, it's more. And keep in mind, guys, a lot of times, factories will find another factory to do something. They'll say we can do it, but they're getting it from another factory. So you might pay a little more so they make money because they can't do that themselves. So they end up being sort of like a sourcing agent / factory combined. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that does happen if you're asking for something very custom.
I have a question. As far as inserts go and packaging and such, do you find that it's more fruitful for the buyer, aka me as purchaser, like to get it outsourced by another factory, or to let the factory that's offering, you know, they built my product and they say, hey, we provide packaging as well? Oftentimes, I think that they are trading companies in which that's easier for them and they can kind of plug both and make a little bit off of each, which is fine too. But anyways, my question is, do you think that it's kind of always better to go with, you know, the first offer there, or, you know, maybe you bundle the negotiations as one kind of thing, or maybe shop around more? That might be a better tendency, to shop around more and find a good paper goods provider.
What do you think, Lina?
For packaging, I think it's much better to go for a professional packaging supplier. Because the packaging, if just for example, if you want to have your own logo, and you can OEM with the professional packaging factory, and then send all the packaging to the products factory and ask them to repackage. That will, because in fact, even though if you want to order with the product factory, they have to go find another repackage factory to make the packaging. So actually, I suggest it's better to do by yourself because maybe sometimes they will raise the price for the packaging. I mean, for the product.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's really, really good.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Gina. Yeah.
I have a ton of questions today. If I'm doing OEM with a product, how can I protect that so that my supplier doesn't sell that to other sellers, or they don't sell that directly on Amazon? What can I do? Can I put something on the contract, or is just trust between us? How that works?
Boss, I think you know this answer.
You don't want to be the one to answer it, do you? So I'm going to answer it in Chinese, okay? Yes, it happens all the time. It happens all the time. And to be totally blunt, there's nothing ultimate you can do to protect yourself from that if they're selling online as well. Even if you have a contract and agreement with them, it's almost impossible to enforce that. How do you do it? They're in a different country. When you make a contract, you have to decide where there's a disagreement, where would that lawsuit or that disagreement be dealt with? Would it be in America? Would it be in Colombia? Would it be in China? So it's very difficult. So there are ways you can get around that can help protect you, okay? And I'll share some of them. Here's one of my favorites. You get a molding company that is not selling on Alibaba. In other words, that's all they do. They're a supplier, but their primary focus is they do molds, they supply, and they sell to other countries, and they're too busy to have an English-speaking, professional, fast-responding staff. Usually a lot of times when they respond to you quickly, great English, and they're really professional, that's because they're sitting in a cubicle. They represent multiple suppliers. It's one trading company, and they're just grabbing products and sending them to you. And if it's OEM, it's got to be big quantity to make it worth their time because they're looking for low-hanging fruit. So if you receive, I'll give you an example, guys. For those of you who received up to 4 suppliers and photos of samples when you got the bundle, if you received a supplier who only speaks Mandarin, it's going to take you a lot longer to get them to respond. It's going to be more challenging because you have to use QQ to translate, or you find someone who can translate, like Lina, who can help you. And the response oftentimes, and I mean this in respect, but this is what I've experienced, Lina, is much slower because they don't know you. They're not trained to think professional staff speak American way, or United Kingdom way, or Australian way, or any kind of Westerner way. They're so busy shipping products out, they're not thinking about that, and yet they end up being the best suppliers because they're not competing with you. That's why their sales staff is pretty bad. Does this make sense, Gina? It's harder up front. It takes forever. Lucas, you know what I'm talking about. I even reached out to that supplier a couple times, tried to get them to respond. No response. If you go, okay, I know you're going to China. If you're able to meet up with them, like your chances of doing something would be much greatly increased. When I was with Lina in Yiwu, the prices on some products we were already selling were so much better. You remember the one, Lina, don't tell them. I was blown away. Like, oh my goodness, how are they getting it this low? Clearly, I was using a trading company and Seth didn't know it. You see what I mean? And so what I'm trying to say, guys, is if you are frustrated because the supplier speaks Mandarin, there's a strong chance, very strong chance, that they will never be your competitor, but it's going to take you a lot longer to get their attention so they actually notice you, respond to you, build the product. And that's the advantage for those of you going to China, is now you're going to be put in contact with suppliers and factories through that shop in Yiwu, which gives you a huge advantage. When you're there and you have someone translating in Chinese, much bigger deal. That, oh, he's for real. They wouldn't fly around the world to be here if they weren't serious and didn't have the money to do it. You know what I mean? So it gives you an advantage. So I hope that is helpful. Our CJ Rosenbaum has a whole thing on this, and he is going to be speaking again for Just One Dime in not too long. We've been talking to him. He's one of our favorite speakers, and he brings such an element that we need for our people. But there is wipo.net or .biz. I always forget which one, but if you go there, you can get it trademarked in China. But it's a long, lengthy process. And because the majority of your customers aren't even going to be in China, I don't know if it's worth your time at this point. Is that helpful, Gina?
If you make that mold and then you send that mold to your manufacturer, is that still an advantage?
They can take that mold, and a few months later, you notice your product with its mold is happily showing up on Alibaba. So you paid $4,000. The money, and now they're selling it, and they don't have your competitors don't have to pay the $4,000. But here's a trick: we've done it before, it works, and it's very hard to get them to do this. Have them emboss your brand into the mold. So even though some suppliers will still sell it. Have you guys done this? You buy a sample and you get it, and it's the brand of a third-party seller on Amazon. You're like, they just shipped me a sample from one of my competitors, right? It's a little terrifying. Lina, I have to hear your thoughts on this, just because it's fun to hear you talk about it. So I'm going to be quiet, and I want to hear you talk about this. And ship it out in advance. Just ship it out, ship.
To be honest, I really don't have ideas about this question.
Well, let me ask you. Go ahead.
There's one thing I know. It happens before, and sometimes when we work with when we go sourcing for a product, and that's a OEM product from the supplier's other client, and that's with their own logo, and like you said, the brand product. And sometimes there are some clients that really like that design. We will use a sticker to stick the brand and to use our own brand, our own logo. Yeah. That's for that situation is always for packaging. I mean the design for the packaging. Like this one. If I really like the design for this packaging, the pictures for this, and there's their own logo, right? So I just use the sticker to stick it and to use my own brand. So I use this packaging, but there's my own brand on it.
Right.
It happens before. Actually, I've been doing for this for my clients.
Yeah. And in the early days of private label for me, that's exactly what I did. So I would have packaging. I would put, there was no trademark. I was very careful about that, but I would put my sticker on it. So it's my private label. I even have a video on YouTube, which I'm a little bit embarrassed about now. Some of the older videos, people are like, but Seth, you don't agree with this. Like, yeah, I've changed. But that's what I did. And guys, encouraging to you, we did that. I know it's very like short and fast and quick and kind of sloppy, but the truth is, before I did any of the higher end stuff, we fired our boss doing that. So what happened? We just kept hustling. We found a way. We kept going, even though I was very ignorant in the process, and we continued to learn as we went. So I hope that encourages you guys. And thank you, Lina. 谢谢老师. Okay, next question. These are great questions, you guys. Let's see, Mitra, PJ, Tim says you are a rock star, Lina.
Thank you.
Jackson says, hey, Gina, good to see you again. Okay. Oh, Fred's question. Fred is in as just when I'm coaching, so I thought it was my own question. I'm like, wait, did I write that? I love it. Okay. Do you suggest, Lina, do you suggest email or live video like WeChat? It seems if you can chat and see the supplier's face, you can get an idea of their true reaction to your negotiation. What do you think?
For WeChat. Because WeChat, we can send messages and doing the video call or the voice call. Actually, this is just personal. We Chinese, I think we do not like email. We are more prefer for WeChat or QQ, that kind of social program to contact with each other. And now the most popular one is WeChat. And we are using WeChat to pay, online pay.
And about the Skype, that compared with the Skype, it's better WeChat?
The Skype, sometimes we cannot use Skype because we have to use VPN to connect the Skype, and also for WhatsApp, we use WhatsApp as well, but it's not work so well as WeChat.
Good to know.
So even right now, for Lina to talk to us, she has to do it through VPN because this is Google, and China and Google are not friends, and so she has to do that. I've become so accustomed to WeChat. It's on the bottom right of my phone, and that message is probably from my wife. I talk to my wife on WeChat. More than, I don't use iMessage anymore. Like, I am truly have integrated my supplier type lifestyle into it. So WeChat is awesome, you guys. Just the other night, Susan, Peter, Angel, myself all did a video group WeChat, and it worked great for when we need to talk about stuff for the supplier sourcing trip. So yeah, really good. So question then, Lina, and I think this is what Fred was getting at is, so you mentioned you don't like email, which I'm glad because I hate email. But at what point do you video chat with a supplier, or are they uncomfortable with that? Because, and let me share something experience. I remember one supplier way back, We had worked with them for a long time, and I really wanted to talk to them over video because I thought maybe I could get a little more leverage because it's more personal. And they were very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. And finally they did it. And then I realized when she spoke, her English was very, very broken. It was very difficult to understand. But when she typed, it was more clear.
Yes.
Other suppliers, we talk to video chat all the time, no problem. They'll just call me. It's like 2 in the morning and I'm getting a call. I'm like, I'm going back to sleep, you know, and I'll call them back later. So at what point do you video chat with a supplier, and when do they like to and when do they not, or do they always prefer the text through WeChat?
To be honest, I never do video chat with my suppliers before. We only doing that. We more prefer for voice call through WeChat. And yes, and if that's really important, we need to talk face to face. I just go to the Yiwu market, to their shop, talk face to face.
Can't beat that. You just walk up and here I am. That's awesome. All right,
and
gotcha.
actually, I think for Chinese culture, we do not like camera.
Okay, that's good to know. Xie. All right. Jackson says, if I end up having a supplier bundle a second product with my main product, he's got his main one, and he's going to bundle it with the second one that goes with it. For example, how is the best way, or what is the best way to confirm the quality of the second product if I didn't bundle it myself? So I like this one. How do I know this one's good quality? What are your thoughts, Lina?
So there's different situations. One situation is the second product is also produced by the supplier, the same supplier. Just for example, if I need to use my cup again, and if the supplier, they produce the cup, and in the same time they can produce the spoon. So that 2 products come from just one supplier, right? So you can order with the same supplier, and that's the best situation. I prefer that. And there's another situation is this cup from one supplier and the spoon from another supplier. And you will ask one of them to make the 2 products as one set. So that's different situations.
Very helpful. Brett says, there's a lot of information to keep in mind when going through negotiation process. Do you have a basic checklist you run through? I'm going to share my thoughts. Lina, I would love to hear yours. Number 1 is going to be specs. What exactly am I purchasing? Number 2 is going to be quantity, how many? And number 3, always ask for a better price. I really keep it simple, Brett. Now, what I like to do is leverage 2 things. I know that for a supplier, it is easier to do a larger quantity if it's custom. So the larger quantity, the better, because they have to spend all this time setting it up, and now they start producing. Let me give you guys an example. A factory, it might take them half a day to prepare to produce your product and an hour or 2 to make it. Think about that. So it takes longer sometimes to set up than it does to produce the product. That's why they like large quantities. And so, and the production process is quick, usually, if it's a large factory. So what I do is I negotiate based on 2 things, quantity and relationship. What is valuable to them? This is how you negotiate. What do they want? They want long-term business repeat orders. That's good for them, because if they get used to my style and what I want, we don't have to spend a long time going back and forth and back and forth. That sucks resources. And guys, if you're going back and forth constantly with your supplier, they might just stop commenting or responding and not give you good deals because you're taking so much time away from them. You see what I mean? So keep that in mind. Try to be efficient. If it takes too long, they might become weary of you. And the more you push, the more they pull back. And instead of telling you you're wasting time, they'll say, I'll get back to you. Let me see if I can get a better price. And then they don't talk to you for a long time. So keep that in mind. So perfect example. I want 10,000 of this product built this way, and they already know how I like it. Easy. They know how to do it. Done. I will get the best prices on that. But if I'm going back and forth, oh, I changed my mind. Oh, I need something different. Oh, I need this. If you guys do that and you don't really know what you want, and this is, I'm going to be blunt. This has been a problem in our community. We have a lot of people, I'm going to complain a little bit, but this is keeping it real, who they don't really know what they want, and they're asking the supplier, hey, do you think I should sell this? Guys, do not ask the supplier that. Don't ask Lina that. Don't ask Peter and Angel that. Don't ask the American sourcing team that. They don't know. They're not supposed to know. They're not experts at that. The supplier is a completely different industry. They shouldn't even know that. And if you're asking them that, that means you haven't done your research. You need to do your research. No, you know the market. You're the expert. You need to be telling the supplier, hey, this is selling really well. And and not all suppliers are like this. I have had suppliers suggest different models to us, and we go with them, and they end up selling really well. That's not always a bad thing. I have also had suppliers suggest a model because it's a dying model, it's a dying breed, and they want to get rid of it. And so get that inventory out of their factory, and that's a bad thing. So what do I have to do? I have to know the market first. If you want to save yourself time and money and get the best prices, you need to know exactly what you want before you ever even say hello to your supplier. That is why on the sourcing trip to China, we have training before we even go. So Lucas, other people, we're going to all get together. We're going to train, make sure when you get there, you already know what you're looking for. We don't want you showing up in Yiwu and saying, hey, I need product ideas. Your brain will explode. There's so many products. You'll come back with like, hey, look, I have 800 product ideas. 800 product ideas is not something to boast about. 1 or 2 or 3 is something to boast about. See what I mean? When I've heard other people go, oh yeah, they came back with 400 ideas. That means nothing. I don't want ideas. I want to know exactly what I'm going to source because I know the market. I know the competition. So remember, the supplier is not the expert on the market. They're the expert on the sourcing. You are the expert at the market, and you need to know what you want ahead of time. Brett, I gave you a lot more than you asked for. I hope that was helpful. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up. It's been an hour. Lina, thank you so much for being here today. And I'm trying to remember how to say it. It's, I forget how to say goodbye to you, good night. Please say it for everyone so everyone can learn a little bit of Chinese.
Okay, it is 晚安, and this will be your homework today, boss.
Okay. 晚安. Very good.
Yeah.
Lina, thank you for staying up so late and hanging out with us.
Okay, thank you. It's my pleasure to talk with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.